The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil. My cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall continue to follow me all the days of this protracted experience of death, and I will dwell in the house of the most super intelligent, power, source, and force of love and creation forever. What's happening? Benton here, rolling out, headed up to a snowstorm in North Dakota. Yay! And temperatures down to 0 degrees and maybe colder. I don't know yet. Is it the middle of March? What is happening? I guess this is normal to some extent. Whatever. It's funny, I was looking in the cabinets, and the last trip I made to Walmart, they did not have my apricots. So I thought, yeah, next time I need to get some apricots. And then I went to pour out the piss jugs, and I was looking at a Walmart just out back of my truck. I forgot. It's been so long since I've been out this way. I totally forgot when I parked yesterday. There's a Walmart next to the truck stop, which is something of a rare thing, but it does happen. Oh well, too late now. Not that I was trying to go shopping yesterday. Dead world crashing. And then, of course, the totally dead truck stop that I just rolled out of. Here's your waking dream, surrealistic unreality. Right before I hit the road, I jumped out to throw away my trash bag. And there's a truck just pulled onto the lot. I'm thinking, well, he's probably getting fuel, so I'll just go to this. Because there were other trash cans away from the fuel island, but I was already headed towards the fuel. I thought, well, he's probably getting fuel, so we won't actually physically intersect. No, he's just going to drive right towards me for whatever reason. Drives past an open parking spot, so I have to kind of wait for him to go by. And of course, now there's nobody on the road, but just the magical one car appears in my mirror. They're about to fall in love with the ass of a trailer. So bear with me while we see how slow do they need me to go before they pass. 52 with the flashers on, got them to go around. Otherwise, they were all set to fall in love on a wide open road at 3:32 a.m. In love with a trailer. Waking dreams, surrealistic unreality, deja vu all over again. And so then he, gets past me, and I go back to my truck, and I already know to keep my eye on him, because if I don't, next thing you know, here he comes backing up. So I have to jump out of the truck, and because otherwise he was just going back right in front of my spot, and I wouldn't have been able to leave. So this is not real, man. This is never real. It's just, shout out to the realm. Thank you spirit of what I am, which is not the realm, but whatever that is that's reminding me, bringing unto my remembrance of what this place is. Well, here's your reminder, sir, in case you may be inclined to take this place a little more seriously than you ought to. There's this confluence of events. Not even really annoying anymore. And like I said, there's nothing out here right now. It's deserted. Why did one car magically appear when I got on the interstate, and now they can't maintain their speed? So I'm going to end up catching up to them. But then they're going to speed up. Right? Why do we need to drive together? It's a good question. And of course, I'm trying to make a certain distance, and we're coming into Fargo. There's not really any truck stops, so I'm trying to make 700 miles. So I don't really have the option of slowing down to stay away from these bozos. It's almost like they know it somehow, and that it's almost like demonic entities infest their dead flesh that are seeking to attack me and spiritually attack me. It's almost like that was possible. But no, that's crazy. That's not possible, right? That can't happen, surely. Oh, thank you for the reminder in the chat. Much appreciated. I've failed in my my duty. And and I'm not one of these people who thinks that it's discrediting or poor form for somebody to take in material that they claim to find objectionable. But it is a curious phenomenon, the rushing into a live stream with a bone to pick, right? Oh, they've got a bone to pick. Of course, they would never admit that. The first thing would be, no, I don't have a bone to pick. And then an immediate raising of the bet, which would be, no, it's you are doing things. Benton must be guilty. Oh, we don't have a bone to pick. It's not possible that a human being is just out in the world, the dead world, seeking to have certain types of interactions. See, that's not possible. They're innocently just in a dead world, innocently with pure intention operating, and then a Benton appears, and Benton does things, and the Benton that has a and is doing things. And so that's the behavior of a person who is fully involved with the machinations of Moloch's machine, and Moloch's machine makes an enemy of what I am. And Moloch's machine, this dead world, these games of lies, will always react to Benton as if Benton must be guilty of something. So the accusation comes, okay, well, what's with these certain screen names that regularly show up in a live chat and have certain and seek to have certain types of interactions? So that's an accusation or a characterization, and the immediate reaction, oh no, they don't do that. You, Benton, are guilty. And from their perspective, no, a rogue Benton has appeared, and is operating in the land. And that's guilt, that's shame, that's worthy of mockery and ridicule. Okay, well, now that the pattern has emerged, under what circumstances is it observable or expected that that individual would have any other sort of interaction? Well, it's if they happen to be around other demonically inclined, like-minded folks who also spend their time focusing on various manifestations of righteousness. Because Benton, as appears in the realm, is a manifestation of righteousness. Like it or not, that's what Benton represents. Manifestation of righteousness. Righteousness manifesting. And that will not be tolerated. It can't be tolerated. It must be attacked. So it cannot be permitted to abide peaceably. However, that's within the context of the confusion of the world of death, the game of lies, and the dead flesh. Those are all confusions for what I am abides peacefully no matter what, when properly identified. Unless I choose otherwise, of course. So we have a slave, which is the commenter in the chat. But remember, they can't be shamed, mocked, or ridiculed at the basis of their slavery, because all they do is point the finger and go, well, no, you Benton, you're guilty. They can't internalize or own a slavery, a state of enslavement that they've already transcended. They are alchemizing a state of enslavement and moving beyond what could be the limitations of enslavement. Freedom is slavery. That's the beginning stanza of George Orwell's 1984. War is peace. Freedom is slavery. Ignorance is strength. And so what we have are commenters, and whether they know it or not, their status quo is those things, and that's a modus operandi. And that's their I'm rubber, you're glue, what you say bounces off me and sticks to you. They just say, no, Benton, you're the guilty one. And so if Benton rhetorically asks, okay, under what circumstances could the commenter be guilty? Oh, no, Benton, you're the guilty one. Yes, well, could you answer the question? Under what circumstances could the commenter be the guilty one? Oh, no, Benton, you're the guilty one. So we see the pattern, the childish pattern of I know you are, but what am I? It's like, okay, well, I can also go to the I know you are, but what am I level? And, I can do this all day. We can just ask each other back and forth and back, spinning of the wheels. And then eventually the commenter will fuck off to, what may turn out to be greener pasture. And none of that reflects on Benton and what I am. So, but it actually shows the inherent value of what I am. And the inherent value of what I am is unconcerned about what value others may bring to the so-called proverbial table. And that's where we see the folly of certain other personalities within the so-called truth community. What is the motivation for these personalities to preach on value and to sort of challenge other people with respect to value. Because knowing and understanding that what I am is the way, what I am is the truth, what I am is the life, there's no meaning for Benton in the context of the performance within this wicked, dead system of things, game of lies. There can never be a meaning to what others do with respect to providing value. So for me to then sort of question the commenter, well, what about the value that you could be bringing forth? Well, that's neither here nor there. As another car appears and falls in love with the ass in the trailer. Yeah, baby got back indeed. In a proper society, the authorities would not permit this. They would find a way to communicate to the licensed drivers. Well, you can't go out onto the wide open road early in the morning and fall in love with the ass end of a tractor trailer. That's not permitted. We don't allow that. And then individuals will make all of the excuses in the world for, well, there's this reason and that reason. Okay, well, just drive 120 miles an hour and see what the system does to you. Because all of the same excuses would apply. All of the same justifications for driving 120 miles an hour on a wide open road at 3:45 a.m. It's all the same reason. But one phenomenon the system will tolerate, and the other one it will not tolerate. Of course, the system will drive 120 miles an hour anytime it feels like it. Well, it's agents, more correctly. And the masses will put up with it. So how will there ever be proper society when the masses make excuses for bad behavior? And say, oh, well, here's the reasons why, it occurs. Well, okay, that's great. I'm talking about how does society get people to knock it the fuck off? Yeah. Because society proves that it absolutely will incentivize individuals to knock it the fuck off, but only when the system chooses that, because the system is the master. So, and the individuals such as the commenter on this at the start of this broadcast, that's a member of the enslaved class, having been sacrificed to Moloch's machine. And that's okay. What I am is victory. So that Benton doesn't gain anything if that person exists in that state, but Benton also doesn't gain anything if that person discontinues inhabiting of a state of enslavement, and eventually, if they are, possessed of Nancy Pelosi's MS-13 spark of divinity, aka this little light of mine, I'm going to let it shine. Benton also doesn't benefit if they, finally manage to uncover that righteous, perfected path that may very well lie within or abide within. So, because this is a wholly individual experience spiritually, so Benton doesn't gain or lose either way. So that completely obliterates the notion of bringing value to the table. The being either is the value or the being is the lack of value. The being manifests in the realm representative of the value, or the being manifests representative of lack of value. And that is your, we know the tree by the fruit, either make the tree good or make the tree rotten. Better to be hot or cold, the lukewarm is spat out of the mouth. Every knee shall bow. That's what that is. That's also a phenomenon. So, and then the commenter will just say, oh, well, yes, of course. And then, by the way, and then seek to muddy the waters, destroy context, change the subject, and LARP as if they have any capacity whatsoever to elucidate such matters in the manner in which Benton is presently operating. Well, they don't, but they will certainly pretend to be understanding and comprehending, because the demons that most assuredly infest them absolutely are well versed in such dynamics. Oh, 100%. The demons that infest these folks absolutely know what time it is. And they'll go and whisper in the ear, whisper sweet nothings into the dead ear of the dead human flesh, so the meat suit, which is probably most of the reason those people feel emboldened to run around and find uh, a manifestation of righteousness, such as old Benton here, and instead of talking to the criminal, they go treat Benton like he could ever possibly be the criminal. I can't. What I am can't ever be criminal. That's not possible. What I am can't ever be criminal. That ain't possible. See? And see, this is part of the Fight Club style letting go, hurtling through the realm, right? Rob Zombie style from that music video. What was that song? 1965, yeah. Yeah. Whatever that song is. Demon woman coming alive. However that song goes. Just bebopping around, roaming to and fro, seeking whom they may devour, right? It's the devil's playground, motherfuckers. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, what I am will never know fear of evil or anything else, and by that measure. What is fear? What is fear? Oh, well, God fearing, air quote, so called God. What is God? And they say, who? So if I say, what is God? And somebody thinks they're correcting me and they say, who? I say, well, you've just answered the question. You're now defining, air quote, so called God as a person. So now we're into delusion. So now the commentary shifts to the nature of the realm. Delusion, delusory, illusory. Now it's like, oh, the Godhead, the Father, the Son, the Holy Ghost. Okay, delusion. For air quote, so called God so loved the world of death and game of lies that he sent a delusion, aka his son. So if delusion can drive out delusion, Satan's kingdom is divided against itself, and how can it stand? It doesn't stand, only via the subversion of the creative force of what I am. But yeah, back to Fight Club, hurtling about the realm, Rob Zombie style, in that limousine. And there's a significance to the limousine itself, but and then the letting go as they look at one another, unbuckle the seatbelts, and the driver takes his hands off the wheel. So old Benton gonna take his hands off the wheel. And then when he forgets himself and improperly identifies, then that's hands on the wheel. Because, oh, this is serious. Got to right the ship and steer that limousine, hurtling through this demonic realm, world of death, game of lies. And proper identification is hands off the wheel, because that's to treat this place as it is, meaning no possibility of meaning, no possibility of power, no possibility of substance. Impossible. These are not possibilities, folks. This world cannot provide justice. This world cannot provide peace. This world cannot provide love, tolerance, any of these things whatsoever. For this world is the lack of those traits or characteristics. This is an embodiment or an epitome of such. And that's what it is. Regardless of how you feel, regardless of how you've been taught, regardless of what lies you've been told and what sunshine and smoke have been blown up your backside, that's what is happening. Kill, kill, kill the messenger. Please, I'm trying to get up out of here. Beam me up, Scotty. Can I get up out? I've had all I can stand. I can't stand no more. Well, that's not true. For what I am is inexhaustible. It abides inexhaustibly. So the taking the hands off the wheel, ironically, by putting both hands at 10 and 2, a commercial at the wheel of a commercial motor vehicle, while having the hands off the wheel. And one day this will come to an end. This particular bit of foolishness and folly. Great, good. You like it? I love it. I want some more of it. Oh, well, what then, says fear? What will you do then? What you're asking me about circumstance? What's the difference? How could circumstance ever be a concern of what I am? Circumstance, who cares? Circumstance is always present. What's the fucking difference? This circumstance, that circumstance. It all comes out in the wash. Oh, well, you starting to sound like a nihilist. I don't care what it sounds like. You're accusing me. In order for somebody to accuse me of nihilism, they are now owning a viewpoint that this realm absolutely, undebatably has to contain the possibility and the potential for meaning outside of the context of what I am. My assertion is no such phenomenon exists. There is no possibility of meaning in this world of death and game of lies outside of the context of what I am. Accusing Benton, the performer, of nihilism is a bit of a non sequitur in that context, is it not? And now Has the being been outsmarted, thwarted, and outmaneuvered by someone who has this level of foolish accent? Oh my goodness. A humiliation ritual, perhaps. Now, here's that car that just mathematically happened to appear on the interstate to be going the perfect speed to perfectly match my speed, even accounting for the slow acceleration up the on ramp all those minutes ago and getting up to, my cruising speed of 71. Here they are, just perfectly going the speed where I won't be able to pass them and get beyond them. But there they are, just perfectly there. The perfection of what I am. So, the perfection of what I am. And this happens so regularly. This is not an accident. This is not and certainly coincidence is not a thing in the first place. But there they are, same vehicle, just still perfectly going the perfect speed over time. How is that possible? That's lottery winner odds. That's Powerball. That's Powerball winning odds for that mathematically to be. Actually, it's more like winning the Powerball multiple times consecutively in actuality. Is that possible? I ask you, is that even possible? I don't think so. And I'll never fully catch them. I'll never pass them. They're just right there. But what are they doing? They're draining the energies of Benton's dead flesh because there's a resource drain. Because now, instead of being free to cruise along the interstate, Benton's attentions and resources and energies are diverted and siphoned off. Because now I must observe them to avoid crashing into them potentially. So why is this happening? And how is it happening? On what basis? So now the letting go of the will would be to accept, okay, how about don't put resources and energies into observing and just maybe crash into it. Take the hands off the wheel and maybe just end up crashing into the car. And now I see here's somebody perfectly coming up the on-ramp. They're going to join the party. We're just going to have us a party out here in wide open roads. Why not? Let's make it a threesome. Why not? Why is 71 the speed to go? I don't know, but it is. That's the speed. And we temporarily sped up to 73 down the hill, so now we're creeping up on them a little bit, but again, can't pass them. Impossible. Now we're going 70. Now here comes the car creeping up behind. They're going to join the fray. They see all this happening and say, "Oh yeah, I'm going to get me some of that." Human activity attractive. How about you drop 1 mile an hour and we can just end whatever this is. 1 mile an hour will do it. Only one of these three vehicles is speed limited in a way that would matter anyway. I mean, they're all speed limited, but in a way that would have a relevance. Oh, now the car behind says, okay, now their perception is there's a big rig blocking the road. So now they've come out of their reverie and now they're put upon and they want to pass. See, but that's not possible because this car is, they're going to go 71 come hell or high water. And actually, they have to be averaging slightly below that for me to have caught them in the first place. So, well, good thing my products are at an Amazon locker 18 miles, 19 miles up the road. So this will at least end in 16 minutes. Oh, there's only 16 more minutes of this foolishness. Of course, now the expectation is that I'll get into the slow lane, but then now that recreates the situation where the person's in love with the ass of a trailer. It's like, no, sorry, I'm staying in the fast lane. We're not going to get over, and then now y'all get to fall in love with the ass of a trailer. That's not going to happen either. I'm staying in the fast lane. Suck it. If they don't like it, not my problem. And if that ain't demons, I don't know what is. And how are those two supposedly discrete, intelligent beings, and neither one of them eventually just says, hey, why are we doing this? And then just presses on the fuel pedal and gets the fuck out of Dodge. Like, why isn't that happening? That's what would have happened in 1996. This would have been impossible in 1996. For those of you who like to romanticize the past, this could not have happened in 1996. Now, probably if this other car, now they've moved up into the slow lane. And now, if they actually pass me, what will probably happen is they will pull along the other car that I already passed. And then they'll be right back in the thick of things. But that may not happen. They might just have their cruise set. And now what usually happens is happening where the car that was going to pass me, they've just stopped at my trailer tandems. And they're just going to cruise on my tandem for a while. People also love that area if they don't happen to be directly behind the trailer. They're a huge fan of the tandem axles of the trailer for some reason. That's very attractive. It's one of the first things I noticed and was surprised by when I started driving a big rig. They are very attracted to that area for some reason. Inexplicably attractive. Again, add this to the 20,000 reasons why most folks would never drive a big rig. It's almost enough to send a fella off to the oil fields. Well, guess who happens to just be headed to the oil field to deliver a load? Not that I'm going to stay there, but I guess I could, right? Come up with some sort of pretense and see what jobs are available, or maybe what trucks are for sale. Yeah, buddy. So I checked the weather. Unless the weather report changes, we'll make it to Fargo tonight. Well, this afternoon, and not deal with weather. But I need to remember to put the anti-gel in the fuel tanks. Although I don't think it'll really matter, but it is going to be cold enough by tomorrow, apparently, or Sunday rather, apparently, down into the single digits, even zero, I believe, Sunday in no DAC. We're in Missouri, if anybody's curious. Not too far south of Kansas City. Oh, man. Got to sleep a little late by my standards, but thankfully I managed to motivate myself to apply the Rain-X to the windshield to help with the upcoming weather. And we collected some bugs also. It was good to get them cleaned off. I haven't into any flies or skeeters down south yet, but they'll be out soon enough. And if anybody's aware to kind of just go into pop culture or whatever, but the mundanities of the lives, the so-called lives of entertainers, the Joe Rogan, Austin, Alex Jones connection, that's always fascinating, bit of amusement and distraction, right? But this idea that Joe moved to Austin, Texas during the pandemic, and if folks are not aware, that's where Alex Jones has lived for many years. Jones originally from the Dallas area, and then DFW. Rockwall is, I recall, northeast side of DFW, and matriculated to Austin at a certain point. And so this friendship that Joe and Alex apparently struck up in the 90s, apparently that's involved many years of Alex, selling Joe on the concept of moving to Austin. And then during the pandemic, Joe finally had enough of LA, I guess, made the move out to Austin. And then by then he was sort of the gatekeeper and arbiter of, a sizable portion of stand-up comedy or whatever's left of it, and via podcasting and his influence within the space of podcasting. And so now certain other podcasters have moved to Austin, and shout out to Tim Dillon, who I believe moved to Austin briefly, was there, pretty much just long enough to check it out, was like, I'm getting the fuck out of here. That, I'm not sure that that's exactly, but that's my understanding of it. And then this Brendan Schaub and first, I believe Brian Callen, who's now 60. He's an old man. Brendan Schaub moved out there to thinking they were going to hang with Joe, who apparently has little to no time for either of them. And now it's hilariously Brendan Schaub, just, one of these Dunning-Kruger affected people who doesn't understand what level of a Dumbo he is, which is fine. I mean, there's Dumbos, but there was a gigantic thunderstorm and hailstorm apparently, and him and his family are, having lived in LA for so long, freaked the fuck out. Like, yeah, man, it's subtropical. Like, all kind of storms, man. What do you think this is? Why is Southern California so desirable in the first place? Well, isn't a lot of it the weather? Like, you're going to leave the best weather for a big city. Well, San Diego, actually, but close enough. Right. Well, yeah, technically it'd be San Diego, but this is close enough. And leave that. Meanwhile, isn't half the reason that these people supposedly wanted to follow Joe to Austin isn't supposed to be conservatism and MAGA? Well, I mean, fuck. Why don't they go to San Diego first? It's like, yeah, it's not Austin necessarily, but even Austin's not Austin. Orange County known for being, so-called conservative in certain ways. Go down to the OC, motherfuckers. No, they skip straight to Austin. Yeah, wait till it's got the highest pollen count in the area, the ragweed and the fucking cedar and all that. Wait till all those counts are off the charts. You could want to talk about the gut biome and all of this. That's fucking miserable. If a person's physicality ain't right and they're in Little Rock, Arkansas, and it happens to have the highest pollen count in the country certain times of the year, it's like, all right, good luck to you. Fucking hay fever, Jack. Histamines. Antihistamines. Better get you some stock and Benadryl, partner. Believe that. Oh, but detoxing is, there can't be toxins in the body. Meanwhile, I did an herbal colon cleanse fucking more than 15 years ago, and my nasal passages were some version of stopped up pretty much on an ongoing permanent basis. And my nasal passages cleared as a result of that colon cleanse, and they've more or less been clear ever since to varying degrees. Oh, but there's no such things as toxins in the body. Okay, sure. Sure there's not. Must have been a coincidence. But the media, at certain times won't shut the fuck up about the gut biome. Right? Oh, I'm about to miss my exit. Hang on. 2.7 miles. Good thing I noticed the name of the town, Harrisonville. To fuel or not to fuel, that is the question. Because realistically, I'm going to need to fuel again right before I stop for the day. Although I don't think I have quite enough fuel to make it all the way there. So There would be the option of fueling one time, but farther on down the road. So I don't know. So we're going on break either way. So I at least I get to jump out and grab my products out of the Amazon locker. So BRB or maybe BBL. Yo, am I back? I think I'm back. In just a second. Drop the scale here backwards. It took a little longer than I thought. I still have to take a 13-minute break. I'm trying to get parked as early as possible to be able to leave out as early as possible Sunday morning, because the more time I get not having to fool with the fools on the road in the winter weather, the better. If that makes sense. I believe there's already going to be a decent amount of snow will have fallen by then, to my understanding. All right, hold up. What do we got? I think my GPS is. No, we're good. We're good. Oh, come on. Come on. Punish me. Punish me. Punish me. God, I hate people sometimes. That's not true, but so unnecessary what they just done to me. So unnecessary. It's not even worth talking about, though. I don't know what happened, man, but I got like a $250 refund to my gift card balance on Amazon. I guess I must have had some. I don't ever return anything, but sometimes I'll have things delivered to the Amazon locker and then I'll be unable. They'll either be late or I just something happens and I can't get to them. And I don't know if maybe I lost track of, or if they just refunded me twice. I'm not exactly sure what happened. It's possible that I just got busy and lost track of them owing me some money and then forgot about it. But it does take quite a time. They've gotten better about it, but there was a period of time when they would, they would make the person wait until it made its way. The products made their way all the way back to the Amazon facility and then, wherever they go to be processed within the facility, which to me is crazy. It's just like, I never had the products. Amazon, and I understand there's third parties involved. Yeah, that Amazon, you hired those third parties, so I don't understand how it's my problem, but whatever. So either way, I bought a bunch of stuff, and I've been looking at stepping my game up with power banks and USB cables. In fact, I've spent, with what I just picked up, if you count that as spending, I think I bought like $60 worth of USB Type C cables recently. I have 4 of these cables that are like the top quality you can get. They're 3.3 feet. In case I ever have another computer set up with the those LCD monitors. I have one of them right now that I bought for $50. But those are daisy chainable with the USB Type C. But what I figured out is when I had dual monitors before, I had two monitors plugged into my HDMI ports on my computer instead of the Type C, and I was using the Type C for power. And I never figured out until recently you got to have really good quality, expensive USB cables to do the daisy chaining, and for the USB to provide the power. Also, this really comes down to the cabling. So I've got four of those, and of course, they have other uses. And then I found they have cables that have a built-in little wattage display, so I've picked up a couple of those today. And then anticipating a future in which I may be more on foot. I want to have power banks and chargers that don't weigh a ton. So I've got two of these 10,000, mAh capacity. Was that milliamp hours or something of two. I think the both of them together is a little less than 1 pound for the power banks. Whereas my old power bank, which I really liked, and I've used it so much, it still works, but it's lost some of its capacity and some of its functionality. And I think it's like 1.5 pounds just by itself. And I had a 100-watt charger, and it's almost 1 pound, or like 3/4 of a pound. It's too heavy, man, to be trying to tote all that around with other gear also. I went ahead and got a car charger just in case I ever need it. And, dual port. And I overspent in the past for a power bank that it's rapid. You can charge the power bank real rapidly, like 95 watts. But it's got a real the capacity is just not there. So I'll just take a L on that, I guess. And it's still useful. It's just I probably won't bother to try to carry it around with me. If I do ease on out of truck driving at some point, who knows? I mean, I don't know. I guess as long as this job is tolerable and I'm in a good truck, I don't know. I mean, it's hard to justify leaving the job. It's annoying to have to keep sort of backing these fools down with, my working conditions, with respect to my working conditions. But, oh well. It's not like I have a union represented. It's not like I'm represented by the union, so it's all on me to represent myself in real time. Or to advocate. Advocate's probably a better way to put it. Act as my own advocate. Self-advocacy. Peculiar, Missouri. There's a Flying J in Peculiar. Casey's. People are like, oh, Casey's Pizza. It's like, yeah, I mean, if I still ate that kind of garbage, I'm sure. I don't think I've ever had it, but I don't eat such. I got fuck me money. I'd rather spend way more money for something that might be quality. Might be quality. Diesel $5. Oh man. Yeah, I was in a live chat yesterday, and I like to remind people when they talk about gas prices and oil prices that 1980 to 1983, it was like $1.25 a gallon, which is $5.25 in today's money. Actually, higher than what it is right now. And then, of course, you got one bozo. Well, wasn't that because of the '70s oil crisis? Like, well, okay. Does that so then it just negates the reality that people were paying more for gas adjusted for inflation in the past, right? It's like what? Okay, and I don't. So is you? It's just dismissible out of hand because there was a '70s oil crisis. I mean, people are acting like this is about to be a crisis. So can I wait 40 years and then look back on this and negate it and just say, well, wasn't that because of the oil? Wasn't that because of the war? Like, yeah, exactly. Well, how does that change anything that you've stated the cause? Meanwhile, what caused the '70s oil crisis? Well, several things apparently, but apparently a large part of which was that the ones who shipped the oil across the ocean figured out how to only pick it up and transport it when they would make the most money, which makes sense, right? Why would they haul it when their profit is less? And that's, again, John Nash, game theory, optimal mathematics. At some point, even humans would figure out, hey, how about we only send our barges or whatever to go pick this oil up when the price is, damn near at the top of the market. And then when you start getting into collusion, other entities, okay, well, let's, manufacture this crisis or that crisis to make it more likely that the price will be sky high so that we can actually go pick it up. But because we're not going to pick it up when the price is lower, the next thing you know, Americans are freaking out and if everybody in the country becomes obsessed with keeping their tanks full, so just imagine all of the gas tanks in all of the passenger vehicles in America right now. So on average, how full is if that represented one storage tank, one gigantic storage tank, on average, how full or empty is that tank? And so if all of a sudden the behavior of the populace means that they're going to keep that tank as full as possible all of the time, well, next thing you know, there's a rationing of fuel and people have to wait in line for it. It's just how that works. Whatever that unused capacity for storage is. Same thing with 9/11, same thing with the Gulf War. Everybody immediately went to the gas station, especially during the first Gulf War. It's like the whole country got in their cars and drove to the gas station all at the same time. And that's happened more than once. But in the 70s, it happened over such an extended period of time. Became a crisis because measures were enacted to deal with the long lines for fuel. And then how many people idle their vehicles in line for 6 hours, right? Just using even more fuel. And remember, they did a nationwide 55-mile-an-hour speed limit also to consume less fuel, lest we forget. Now, I would argue that the price would have been even higher if, again, the John Nash game theory, optimal mathematics. It's like there's a market sweet spot between the demand and the price and the supply, right? It's all sort of tweakable, but I'm not even sure they maxed it out back then. Some of that demand was artificially induced demand. And then how much of that is the system recognizing that, in certain economic environments, um, there's a benefit to high oil prices. And again, Trump said it himself. We make a lot of money off of high oil prices. Like, yeah, exactly. Rich folks, it's only good. High gas prices at the pump only benefits. It always benefits rich people because it doesn't not affect their bottom line whatsoever. And if it lasts long enough, when they drive somewhere, they may very well experience less traffic and less of the unwashed masses in the way, right? Rich people, they may not say it, but do you think they like to go out and do whatever they're doing and the fucking unwashed masses are in the way everywhere, clogging up the roads, clogging up Las Vegas? Is a rich person more likely or less likely to go to Las Vegas right now when it's supposedly dead? Meanwhile, one of the channels I follow, that Scotty Bear, was just in Vegas for like a week. He's like, yeah, it ain't dead. I mean, there's stuff still going on. It might not be as maxed out as it was, but so dropping all the prices to a bargain basement level for a long ass time, brings in the fucking undesirables, man, the basket of deplorables. And I know one of my first times to, really just walking around the Vegas Strip at night, it's hard to fit. And I'm a fast walker and I like to bebop around and see things. And I think it was me and ex-wife number two. It's hard. We found it physically hard to maneuver because of the physical size of the fucking land wells that were in the way everywhere. Like, for real, they're just, these lumbering beasts just in the way everywhere. Like, what the fuck, man? We're, trying to get somewhere. And then how do they even have the time, the energy, or the inclination to be out there waddling around? Like, again, is that even real? Waking dreams, surrealistic, unreality, deja vu all over again. How are people who one of their least favorite activities is to physically walk anywhere? Why are they clogging the strip up everywhere? Like, what is this? What the fuck is even happening? So, in a way, Vegas is better without those beasts of burden in the way everywhere. It's a better experience. And how much were they really, how much of their money was really flowing into the coffers anyway? I mean, it wasn't nothing, but Let's be serious. Coming into KC now. I got to start making a list when I put the truck in the shop because probably should have had them change the air filters for the cabin. There's at least one or two cabin air filters. Probably one in the sleeper, and then one for the cab area, the driver area. Probably should have went ahead and had those changed. I guess I could probably do it myself. And it seemed like when I was on cents per mile, and that this company seems to be way better at keeping the driver busy overall. Because on my previous jobs, I remember having time to do stuff like that. Go to like when I had a Volvo, I went to the Volvo dealer at least a couple of different times. I had that truck long enough that I was like, hey, we need a new air filter. They said, oh yeah, just go buy Volvo and get one and we'll pay for it and blah, blah, blah. I remember doing that twice. We had plenty of time. Now I'm thinking it's like, yeah, if I was even so inclined, when the hell would I do that? Uh-oh, this ain't my exit. Fucking up. I'm fucking up. I'm gonna go ahead and slow down. Of course, the cars love to descend on me when I'm, uncertain and trying to get in the proper lanes. They're super good at pouncing in those moments for whatever reason. I better slow my roll. Try to get them up off of me. Get them up off of me. .435 north to Des Moines. Kansas City also, in my experience, some of the signage is very confusing. We're not actually going to Des Moines. I don't think. I don't think we are. No, because that'd be on 35. Yeah, we're not going on 35. But whatever. All right, 37 miles to 29 north. Like maybe somebody had a crash up on the overpass. Yep, car crash, looks like. All right, I've got enough time. I'm slowing down. See, I'm gonna actually practice what I preach instead of rolling with this semi the whole way. I'm just gonna slow down to 59 and let him get out ahead of me. I think we're about 40 minutes ahead of the overall drive time. And it should increase, or at least not shorten. Starting to get a little hungry, man. Still on my second egg drink. Oh, and I bought a new AC adapter, to be able to charge both those power banks. And I spent $20 on I realized I fucked up because I got a one port, just like a 45 watt, but I got a real good quality brand, Anchor brand. And I mean, it's good to have, but that ended up being unnecessary. Sometimes it's like I have such a short window to order something. It's like I end up just ordering something that I didn't really have the time to figure out if that's, exactly what I needed or not. Because if it's saying, it'll be here on this day if you order within the next 4 hours, it's like the shorter that time gets, the more likely it's going to be a day late. If it's a day late, I probably can't physically get the thing. Like this time, I had to restrict myself to products that were either overnight or same day delivery. Bam. There's certain stuff I'm going to buy soon, but couldn't do it. Wasn't enough lead time. Oh, man. Anyway, what I suspected might happen happened where I stopped and involved myself in other activities, and now I'm gone too far afield of whatever my discourse was earlier. I don't really have too much to ramble about in my so-called personal life, so I'm gonna get on out of here. Bye.